So we've come from talking about God and that his hand is in the process. I just got very chilly. Let's talk about the visions and dreams and how God will communicate to you in the journey. 2009 is when we applied for our first visa. It was a launch into brokenness, first visa. Second visa was in 2012, and I had applied. If you follow the journey, I had applied into my husband's school to study sociology as a way to also join him, for the kids and I to join him. On the eve of the day I was going to take the response from the immigration department, I had a dream. I dreamt that me and my friend who is in New York, she went to New York a long time ago. I dreamt that we were both very pregnant. And so we walked, I lived in Huruma, so we walked to Huruma Medical Center to give birth to our babies. And as soon as we got in, she gave birth to a baby boy. It was done. But me, the doctor came and checked me and said, go and walk outside so that the baby can come down. And so this is a dream, okay? This is a dream. I got it on the eve of the day I got the correspondence from the immigration department. So in the dream, I walked to Moi Forces to pick my children from school because they're in school while I'm giving birth. So I go and they see me and they say, Mama, you know, Mom, kwani mtoto hajakuja? And I said, I'm supposed to walk so that the baby ateremke, so that the baby comes down. So I have to walk. Maybe I'll walk even in your field, in the school, so that the baby can come. And the kids held my hands and told me, we will help you walk. Let's walk together so that you can exercise and the baby will come. When I woke up, I knew I would not have the visa. Do you understand? Do you see how God speaks and a dream will just let you know? As much as I didn't know how to translate dreams then, I didn't even need anyone to translate to me. By then, my friend was in New York. Her baby had already come, but mine hadn't. So me and my kids would have to do some extra walking. Fast forward to 2014. In 2014, I told you from a previous video, hubby had applied. And we were keeping this thing top secret. The first 2 times we had told everybody. And that is where I learned to keep my mouth shut. Not that people can do anything to you if God has ordained it, because when it's God's time, Isaiah says, shall I bring you to the point of birth and not open the womb? It is not God. You know, when it's time, there's nothing anybody can do. So 2014, hubby applied. And just before we got the visas, my friend and neighbor said to me, I dreamt that you guys were going. I said, oh my God. We were going to keep it a secret because it's been so disappointing the previous times. And so this time, I didn't want to say anything. And she told me, I dreamt that you were selling me your cake tools and stuff. And so me and my friend, we even planned to write down everything that I have that she'd be interested in and that she would buy. So it was just a matter of waiting for the process. Because, so the night before or the week before, it must have been, I dreamt that I was in a hospital bed about to give birth. On my right side was Imani, the baby. On my right side were 2 women, strangers, and they were like shocked, like, guy, this woman is about to give birth. Where are the doctors? And they were whispering by themselves, apokando. And that shows you the crowd, yeah? The crowd that will surround you when you're going through all these things and they're pointing out things. Unajua, and they're like, guy. And my friend and neighbor who had had a dream that we would be going was right next to the bed. But her nature is like, she's a soft person. She's very soft and feminine. And I was like, please go and get the doctor. compared to her, I was very rough then, yeah. But I'm healing, I'm softening, I'm coming into my feminine energy. So I knew in my head that if she doesn't go, these two women would go, because it's a birthing procedure, you know, it's a birthing process, sorry. And if this thing is as scary as it should be, somebody will go and fetch the doctor. So this girl, out of fear, this neighbor of mine, she goes to fetch the doctor. But before the doctor comes, I heard Imani say, "Ndio Toto," like the baby has come out. He saw him, even though he wasn't in front of me to see the birthing process. And it just happened like this. The baby was born. What kind of a baby was it? A Thumbelina, this size. And so we were like, oh my God, ni mdogo. So I quickly picked the baby carefully. And in the hospital gown, I put my baby there. And I nursed him with my heat, my body warmth. And I'm telling myself, I will nurse this baby to health. And before the dream was over, I had fed him. I had nursed him with my joto, my body heat. And lo and behold, it was a big baby. I woke up and knew we would not get the visa. How did I know? Because this was like a signal that the baby has come, but they're too small to survive in the earth. So what will happen? You will have to nurse the baby until he comes. As much as dreams are mysterious, but you can see how God communicates in a way you'll understand, even if you're not so deep, because by then I was a Christian baby. I had not understood much. But this is the way, like, God now was hitting me with information and showing me, choosing a way that I would understand the journey. So I woke up and knew we were not going to get the visas. And so I had to nurture this baby. So the baby was going to come, but it needed nurturing until it becomes now that big, beautiful baby that I saw. So when hubby said, so when we got the correspondence, actually a friend of mine also was in the same process, and they didn't get the visa. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Even us, we were waiting. And when I went into the email, no, I told my husband, please check, because he's the one who had applied. And we hadn't gotten the visa. When I tell you how sad it was, we kept going. We kept going. So another chance gives itself the last time. And this time, things were not going well for me, business-wise. I had even closed my shop, but I had the word of God. So many times we had talked and discussed. And by this time, oh wait, before we closed the shop in 2016 was 7 years since my hubby left. In May, the same month that he left. God uses things that you will recognize. And so this, in 2017, in May, I had a dream. And I dreamt that we were in a 7-day conference. Hubby, the kids, and I had been on a 7-day conference. Remember, this is the 7th year since he left. And after the 7 days, I followed him, like we followed him out. The kids were kind of behind me. And he went on a railing and he stopped there. And he said to me, meet me in Canada in 3 days. Meet me in Canada in 3 days. So we turned around and we went towards a section where our visas were supposed to be screened. This is in a dream. At the very corner, I found 3 of the ministers who were ministering at the 7-day conference. There was a lady, very harsh looking. Then there was a minister from my church, Purpose Center, one of the ministers there. And then there was a face I could not recognize. That lady spoke to me before we went into the visa processing section and said, meet me here in 12 hours. If you know about numbers, and if you're in the spirit, you will recognize what I'm talking about. Number 12. I don't know why I'm starting with that. is the number of grand, it's an ending number. It's a number of a breakthrough, a miracle on a governmental level. What does that mean? It's higher than all other numbers in a way of completion. And that's why even a year has 12 months, but that is not to say that is how the genesis of it was. But in the world that we live in, that is how we understand things. The year has 12 months, and on the 12th, after the 12th month, it ends. So this was an ending number. And this is what this lady is saying to me: meet me in 12 hours. So I'm like, in my head, you're crazy. In 12 hours, I'll be somewhere in Egypt on my way to Canada, because now I was thinking about the routes my husband uses when coming home. I had learned about these things because of him traveling back and forth. And that was those are what the routes I know, you know, from Canada to London to Egypt or through Dubai or wherever. So in my head, I'm like, we will be so far gone by then. I won't have to meet you. In my head, I had the attitude. So we go to the visa processing section, and I put my children's passports, and it's like I could hear the machine just going brr, 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 you know, like processing the whole thing. And it was like, when I put mine, it said brr, brr, denied for reasons. What was it? How can I forget? For reasons, I don't know. I don't know what it was, my God. But it must have been something I had done. And so I recognized then that I have to go and meet this lady. Who was in my bakery? Okay, and I wake up. Who was in my bakery then? My baker. Remember the baker in the prison with Joseph? This guy, we were in a prison together for that moment. God was using him to translate my dreams. Or he must have been Joseph and I was the baker. I don't know. So I go to work in the morning and I'm feeling depressed. I told him, I had a very strange dream. This guy got excited. He's a preacher. He always was. And he says, Ebu, tell me your dream. And as I'm beginning to tell him, he says, ati skusaba, ati skutatu. And he tells me, stop. Here is a paper, write down that, draw that dream. But by the power of God, I drew. And let me tell you, this guy got exactly what I was talking about. And so he worked it out like a mathematical problem. And he tells me, this 7-day convention, it means the 7 years you've been in a teaching with your husband, your family. You've been taught something. You've been in a meeting, in a convention, these 7 years. And now it has come to an end. So what will happen? The head of the house has spoken. And when he has spoken, because he's the Godhead in your family, it has to happen. So forget about this denial you're hearing. The route you will use to go into Canada will be so different. Forget about everything you know. Forget about the London route, the Egypt route. Forget. You're going to use a different route. So my baker talks about using a different route. And I'm thinking, what does this guy know? Achai and Davi? Let me tell you, God works in mysterious ways. And before something happens, he announces it. The route we ended up using was through Morocco. From Kenya to Morocco, and then our entry port was in Montreal, and then to St. John's. He told me that when God is in the midst of an issue, he will create a way where there's no way. You know, so forget everything you know. Me, I'm not believing this guy because isn't he maneno gani? Like what? So, but something stuck with me. And I told him, I've been feeling the urge to go pray at Arboretum, but I never get the chance. He told me, God will tell you. You remember? Now he begins to bring this Abrahamic story. And he tells me, God will tell you, toka with your child. Like the way he did with Abraham. Go up and climb the mountain and sacrifice your child. He will tell you, move from here. He will not talk to you while you're here. Come here. This is where I'm going to talk. And you remember also the case with Moses. Burning bush, remove your slippers, because this place is holy. And this guy tells me, you must go to Arboretum and pray. At this time, I'm thinking, sina time, I have to come to work, go to pick the children, nenda Arboretum sangapi. Yeah. At the same time, there was Rema Festival. And lo and behold, I walk into, it is All Saints. It was being held at All Saints. I walk into there, and when Reverend starts speaking, he's speaking about the Abraham story. If you're talking about coincidences, I've seen them. And Rev was explaining how, okay, so the baker in my shop told me, Abraham, the baby, Isaac, and the servants. This servant was supposed to be given everything previously because they were not getting kids, right? But God decided your wealth will not go to your servants. You will get a baby, despite the length of time it has taken. So they go, and at the bottom of the mountain, God instructs Abraham, tell your servant to remain. Si kitu ya watu wengi, it is just the family. And that's why you shouldn't carry everyone on your journey. Okay? Everybody has their journey. God loves them all. He's going to do great and mighty things for everyone. But for certain journeys, it is for you and your children. It's for your generations, the people who sprang from you. It is well and dandy. We are Africans. It's Ubuntu. We will do our lives together as a community. But some things, God separates. Servant anaachwa hapa. They take the hill. Now that is what the baker had told me. Remember, this journey is not for everyone. Ni wewe, mtoto wako, watoto wako na bwana yako. Now the husband has said, meet me in 3 days. 7 days is a number of ending all the troubles, all the things that you've gone through. Number 3, like Jesus was in Hades or wherever for 3 days. Jesus died, and after 3 days he rose again. It's a number of ending and renewal. So in 3 days, we will be renewed. This guy is explaining these things. And let me tell you, I was thirsty. My heart was yearning for this kind of things. Number 12 is the finish on a governmental level. And he tells me, Mom, God is calling you to prayer now. Si mchezo. For this thing to end, this is the totality of all these numbers. Number 12 is the totality of all these numbers. So you have to meet God where he's asking you to meet him. Do you see God brought me an interpreter for my dreams? I hope this is helping you. Anyway, so in the days that followed, I was called that Tamwa is sick in school. He was in boarding then. It was on a Thursday, and they had a visiting day on Saturday, and he wanted to be visited by his shosho and his family. So I had to return him on Friday after seeing the doctor. So after returning him, I was going to Ngara Market to buy groceries for cooking for Saturday because we were expecting some people for the visiting. And so we go, I head towards Ngara Market. I'm going down that Utalii, on Thika Road next to Utalii, and I hear, go to Arboretum. And mimi nasikia mtu zangu niko na stress. Go to Arboretum. And I knew I just had to go. So I went in and parked. Those were the times, I don't know if Arboretum people are being charged anymore. So I come out of the car, and this soldier tells me, oh, mama utalipa pale. And then he looks at me and tells me, Mom, ile kitu unakuja kuombea, Mungu tayari ashajibu. Dude, let me break down. What's on? And I'm like, is this why God was sending me to Arboretum? Hey, nililia nikachoka. So I went into an Arboretum. And that was a miracle in itself. Like, that was already enough. So I went looking for a place to hide. And I walked. And I'm telling God, show me where I should pray from. Because this is like a Moses moment with the burning bush. Show me, because I'm not going to pray from a place you haven't guided me to. And then, so God doesn't lead me into a thicket or a hidden place. He leads me to a clearing. And I sit there wondering, sana ni naombea hapa nionekane. I can't pray from here. This is a clearing. Everybody will see me. And I know how I pray sometimes. I cry. I don't want people to see me. I don't want them to see this mess. And God puts me there, and I sit there. And I opened Facebook, and I saw a word. I don't remember what it was. But after that, I was worried about what time I would go to the market. And I was assuming God would put me there for like 5 hours just seeking him. I was not praying, guys. It was the Holy Spirit praying through me. Wacha nilie. Wacha nimwage machozi. Luckily, I had a flared blouse. So I was like, Makamasi, have you ever cried until you're thinking, okay, this body will dry up one of these days? Kila kitu isha toka, ndaishiwa na juice. I cried, and in that moment I saw a vision, or rather God spoke to me. It was like a Moses moment, and he told me, look at that tree. And I saw a tree, a strong tree, this big trees, and then I saw the branches, and he showed me, that is how I will make you strong and mighty with so many branches. He tells me stop. No, like I had prayed, and then I showed the vision with the tree. It wasn't even a vision. It was just, he's talking to me directly. And then he tells me, rise and go. Nikatembea, nikatoka Arboretum, nikaenda sokoni, nikanunua vitu, and got prepared for the next day. Now, let me tell you something. Along the journey, I got tired of praying, and I was like, this is too much. And one time God showed me grandkids. He showed me my two cuties. This is not even necessary to share, but it's like he was showing me, if you don't pray for yourself, pray for those ones. And I had no problem with that. So I prayed. I prayed. God is into breaking us through. He's taking back everything that was stolen from us. And he's going to do great things even for our generations. And that's what's up. So that was a dream I had in 2017. In 2016, May, the end of the 7 years, my hubby had been away. And then just before we got our visas in 2017, just a bit, to take you a bit to December 2016, when we were crossing over, Reverend said, write what you want God to do for you. I wrote, I want us to get visa and to get the money, just like the prayer Tamwa was making every time we were eating. God, give us visa, give us money to pay for the airplanes, give us this and that. And I wrote those down. And when I tell you that later I would find the notebook, you write and you forget. And at God's time, you come back and just tick. Isn't God wonderful? Isn't God good? Doesn't his mercy last forevermore? Throughout the generations? Hey, so I had a dream before we got the visas in 2017. I don't remember exactly what point. And I dreamt, I don't know how many children I got, but it was a series of dreams where I was just getting babies. I was getting babies, healthy, yummy looking babies. And I just knew. We can never be 100% sure, but I just knew it would happen. So what else happened in that period? Before my husband left for Florida, he talked to me about going there, right? And he was expecting us in Canada, so it was a bit confusing that he would go into Florida. How now? More separation. He told me that as a way to discuss as a couple what's the plan for the future. And I would have thought this is for him perhaps, and we would just be in Canada. But this guy talks about that, and I see orange colors, you know, like sunset colors, sunrise colors, yellows, oranges, nice things, yeah, nice colors. And I see myself walking on the beach. So that's how I know it's the whole family going at some point. Trust me, we didn't even do these things deliberately according to the visions we saw. It was just God's time. Things would happen. And that's how I know that Florida was for all of us eventually. But it was not a place to dwell. How do I know this? Once when we were in Florida, I had a dream. I dreamt that husband and I, we had crossed Unajua Light Industries, at the roundabout, that Light Industries estate. We had gone through it, kabisa, and I had actually went and picked him from a place he used to stay in a dorm with people. That was Canada in the dream. So they were telling me, everybody was telling me, hey, it was hard for us and your husband. Life has been hard. We have really tried. We didn't even have sleepers. Now these ladies are telling me because husband would never share how hard the journey was. Do you see what destiny helpers are like? They're so unique. They don't complain. They don't cry. Me, I'm not. So anybody's destiny helper, because I will kill you with maneno. And they told me it has been difficult. These were women telling me, oh, we've done the journey with your husband. It's been difficult. It's been so hard. But it's good now you've come for him. And he was packing as we were talking. We were helping. And then we left. So we make our way through Light Industries. And at some point, even some chokoras came with some knives to us, but they didn't do anything. And so we go and cross the road. You know where this number 17 used to, the stage, yeah, for Kayole. So we went and I could see some beautiful skies, pink, you know, beautiful. And pink, you know, the pinks, the skies when it's Gioni and it turns pink and yellows. I'm in Florida now. I'm dreaming in Florida. And then when we crossed the road, suddenly it was green. And we said, let's lie here for a while. And so hubby and I, with our bags, we put them down and just lay on the grass. Just across the road, there was grass and we lay there. We would be later woken up by the touts going, suddenly now it's rounder, you know. You know the mats, the green mats they used to call doots. And we had 20. So we woke up like, hi, Jesus, where are we? And so we crossed back to the other side. And so we were walking. Hubby and I are carrying bags. And I could see like our children's shoes, you know. And like I was barefoot at that point. Oh, if you're spiritual, you know what barefoot is. I won't explain now. And I told him, give me Tosh's shoes to wear while we walk. And that's how broken we had been. Yeah, kuna point ile hauna hata viatu. And the shoes had like there were sandals and they had a tear. And I said, when we get there, we will repair that. Do you know what it means without me explaining? It meant that where we are going would be the place where we get to mend our shoes. But then not having shoes, it means you've lost your destiny. And in some cases, it means you've lost your marriage. In some cases, it means you'll need some help. See me borrowing Tosh's shoes, which also have a tear and they have to be mended. And that's how I knew Florida for us had been a place of rest. The holiday. In fact, most people ask us, how could you leave Florida, a place where it's a holiday destination? Everybody is going there to, you know, and it was a beautiful place. I loved Florida, but I couldn't stay because I couldn't work then, you know. And we were broke there, but it was so nice and peaceful and we could go to the beach for free. But then most of the things we've done have been for free. This is a land where you can have a lot of fun. And when we get to that point where we are talking about living abroad, We do a lot of things for free. Going to the parks, going, like, you can do a lot of things for free. No charge. Not even, like, listen, this place is beautiful. They have taken care of everything that they have. And I pray that we reach there sometimes. Because sometimes we ask ourselves, our ministers come abroad. Sindio, they use taxpayers' money to come here. They don't see what these people are doing with the environment. For us to go to G.1, to go, to Arboretum, you have to pay. Why? Recreational facilities, we have to pay. Dude, do you know how many things I do for free? You would think we are living it up. I do for free. If I have to take a walk, I don't even walk on the street. I will drive to the park and walk beside the lakes. And when I tell you these things will heal your body and your soul, being in nature, they will heal you. So don't worry about your brokenness. God will heal you in his time. He will heal your mind. Unajua, the way you feel like you will lose your mind. You remember, like, the guy whose mind was healed and all the demons were thrown into the pigs and the pigs could not handle. Like, they could not even stay in one place. They had to run and disappear in the water. Imagine those are the kind of demons in your head. Those are the kind of things zimeshikilia familia yako. Like, you're being tortured and you know it. You know when you can't sleep. You know the torture in your mind when you're thinking, my God, I can't even feed my children. Don't ask people for help. Ask God, because he knows the genesis of all these things. And he is seeing. And our Gikuyu people will say, Kaga igati uraga. God will draw you back. And everything you do and wherever you go. Nowadays, I'm so careful to say, a certain state is happening. We should go there. I love thinking that we could go to Texas. But it's in the journey that I know God is very intentional, even in where he settles you. The people he will bring into your life, they're not coming to harm you. Listen, all these things you're facing now, you will not face them ahead. I'm not saying it will be buttery smooth. I'm not saying it will be easy. But there is grace ahead. So press on. Believe in God. You know, believe in the God of your fathers. The way he was with my grandma. And even though she suffered, I'm sure she's in a nice place. And she's like, at least you're doing good to my children, to my grandkids, to my descendants. You know? So if God has chosen you to do the very, very difficult journey of saving, of opening gates, actually. You're opening gates to your generations. That's what Joseph did. Did you know that the children of Israel had to pay for everything in the land? It reached a point where they had run out of the money and their money, and they had to sell their livestock to buy food. They didn't used to get free stuff from Joseph. Na sound nikana jitetea. It's because I'm in a position where God has not let me break through completely financially. Yeah? Because he doesn't want us to be redundant. I do believe that God wants to nyanyua my family. Everybody has to break through. You know, it's not about the soft life that people give you. And let me tell you, like I told you before, every time my husband gave me money, it was a debt in God's book. Debts that I've had to pay because he's also somebody's child. Yeah? He was spending all the money to just take care of us, you know, to get me out of the places I put myself. And while I paid all the debts, I don't know if I paid all the debts. I even had school fees debt that I had to send my mother to go pay. Eh? The Lord will set you free, and you'll be free indeed. You're being set free from everything that is torturing you, from the grips the devil has in your family. Do you understand? It is going to be well. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.